welcome to I Love This Thing So Frigging Much, a podcast about passion. My name is Sophie Katz, and today I am joined by Marcela, a software engineer and serial crafter. Welcome to the show, Marcela.
Hi, Sophie. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. So, here's how this works. Marcela will have 3 minutes to talk about something that she loves. This can be a person, place, thing, concept, activity, anything she wants. Our only requirement is that she loves it wholeheartedly and wants to tell us why. Are you ready, Marcela?
I think so.
All right, I know you're ready. All right, here's my timer. Now, what do you love so frigging much?
So, as kind of mentioned in my intro, I love crafting. I love making things with my own hands. I love having a finished product that I can show off. I love making things for other people. I love making things for myself that I can wear. And then when people compliment me on them, I can say, thanks, I made it. It's one of my favorite things in the world. I'm actually recording right now from my craft room where I am surrounded by all kinds of supplies and works in progress, a little too many works in progress if you ask me, and finished products that I've had the joy of working on over the past few years. I think this passion started in me very young. When I was about 7 years old, my cousin's grandmother taught me how to knit, and I was the only cousin out of, I think, about 6 or 7 of us that really took to it, and I kind of kept knitting until I was in my mid to late 20s, but as mentioned in my intro, I'm a serial crafter, which kind of means that I like to jump around from craft to craft. So I'll pick up one craft, I'll get really into it, I'll spend a lot of money on supplies, get kind of good at it, and then I'll get a little bit tired with it, and I'll set it aside so that I can pick up another craft. And usually I'll make my way back to that other craft at some point. So right now, my 2 main crafts that I'm loving and that I'm really involved in are sewing and using my Cricut machine, which is it's a cutting machine. So you can feed it any number of materials from paper to fabric to like cardboard or small, like very light plastics and woods and metals, and it will cut any shape out of it that you want. And using that machine, you can actually make 3D objects. Like if you cut out the pieces and then glue them together or fold them together, kind of like origami, you can make 3D objects. As for the sewing, I was kind of on a skirt kick a few months ago. I think I made like 2 or 3 skirts in the span of a couple of weeks. And it was actually during the perfect skirt season. It was a little bit chilly, but I got to wear flannel skirts because nobody was really selling them, but I was making them. Let's see, what else? I'm trying to get into embroidery, and actually I follow the embroidery subreddit on Reddit, and I see so many amazing projects, and I know that all I need to do is just get started on one project, and I'll be able to finish it quickly, but starting a project is always the hard part. So I'm just hoping that with this social distancing, I'll have some time to start at least one embroidery project, and that's it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are trying to get more into their crafts, given this current state of the world.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for telling me about crafting. Sounds like you have a lot of interests within this one interest, which is always very cool to hear about.
Oh, sure thing. My pleasure.
Yeah. So could you tell me that this Cricut machine sounds really fascinating, making 3D objects. Could you tell me about some objects that you've made with your Cricut machine?
I'm looking around here. So I've got these little cardstock, I call them cardstock critters, and they're just pieces of cardstock like layered onto each other, but then I also cut out a little stand for them to go on. So that's kind of 3D. It's not really 3D. There was I think I made a giraffe out of a pretty heavy chipboard where kind of like insert tab A into slot B, and you kind of built an animal out of it. I think I gave that one away. I don't remember what I did with that one. I've made some pop-up cards. Those are kind of 3D. Yeah, it's mostly like it cuts flat material, but then you can construct 3D objects out of that flat material by folding it and gluing it and taping it and whatnot.
It sounds kind of like those 3D puzzles that you can get, like when you go to the Eiffel Tower, you can get one of the Eiffel Tower, things like that.
Exactly like that. It's exactly like that. So I could theoretically make one of the Eiffel Tower if I had like the right pattern. If I was talented enough to make those types of puzzles, yes. Or I could just find one online and cut it out and then make it.
That would be cool. So of all the different crafts that you have tried your hand at, is there one in particular that stands out in your mind as perhaps it was a particular challenge to learn, or you're particularly proud to have learned it?
Honestly, I would say sewing. So when I was, I think in middle school, I saved up all my babysitting money and bought my sewing machine, which I still own to this day. It is this sewing machine that I use, even though it's like 20 years old, about 20 something years old. I never really took any lessons. I kind of just had to figure it out on my own. And this was also before the time of the internet. So it was just like, well, let's see how garments are currently constructed, the ones that I have, and let's see if I can kind of make something myself. And there was a lot of going to the library and finding patterns and stuff like that. But also, when you buy a pattern, it just tells you, it gives you the pieces and kind of where to sew. But if you have to do something a little bit more complicated, like darts or something like that, which is where it puckers the fabric in so that it fits your body better, that's something that I kind of had to learn to do on my own because I didn't have anyone teaching me or didn't really have the internet. So I would say that, yeah, sewing was the most challenging.
Yeah, that's definitely something to be proud of.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you don't like about crafting? And if so, how do you handle that?
Oh, so I kind of mentioned it earlier, it's getting started on something. So like I'll have all these ideas and then it's the idea of actually starting something is so daunting. It's getting all the materials together. And like, let's say I'm about to start something. I have everything except for one piece of the puzzle that I'm missing. And now I have to go out to like Joann's to buy something. And that's kind of taking me out of creative mode.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I guess the way that I deal with that is just whenever I see something that I know I'll want later on for a craft, I just go ahead and buy it. And then later on, I just happen to have it when I'm ready to get started on that type of project.
Oh yeah. I think as a creative person myself, definitely there's nothing more daunting than that blank page or that blank slate where right now there's nothing wrong with it, but later there could be.
Yep.
Thank you, Marcela. It's been such a pleasure to have you here telling us about something you love so much.
Absolutely. Thanks again.
Of course. And thank you, our listeners, for tuning in today. If you would like to learn more about crafting or our guest Marcela, you can find her social media information in the episode description. And don't forget to use the hashtag #LoveThisThingCast to tell us about the things you love. I Love This Thing So Frigging Much is a production of Through the Window Media. This episode was directed by Sophie A. Katz and edited by Melissa Block. You can find us at Through the Window on Twitter, Instagram, or Tumblr. That is THROU the window at all those social media sites. Be good to yourself, be kind to each other, and you'll hear from us again soon.